It. Hi guys, welcome to our presentation. Our topic is about Hong Kong's unique seven-side hardcore.
So this is our table of contents. We'll first do introduction, then issue and research. Then we'll look at the research settings and methodology, and we'll conclude with a discussion and conclusion.
This more casual type of seven-side hardcore football in Hong Kong originated back in the World War II era, where prisoners in concentration camps under the Japanese invasion, as well as local Hong Kong civilians, wanted to play a game of football in a smaller area, where it would then be better off to play seven-side instead of the traditional 11-side due to the geographical restrictions. This culture is then passed on to this date, where many local football players, mostly amateurs or even some professionals, they play seven-side football casually with the main purpose of leisure.
For the introduction, seven-a-side football is unique in Hong Kong, and there is HKFC Soccer 7 since 1999. And there are also numerous leagues and local tournaments in Hong Kong. And seven-a-side football has a special rule from 11-side football. Through this project, we'll try to look into a couple areas, which are the accessibility, culture, and the development of seven-a-side football, as we think that the opportunity for Hong Kong people to start playing football can be related to this. And we can also look into how the seven-a-side football culture is as well.
Let's now focus on the accessibility of seven-a-side hardcore football in Hong Kong. According to the government news statistics, Hong Kong has a total of 235 five-a-side and seven-a-side hardcore football pitches by January 2023. And these pitches are highly different from official association football 11-a-side pitches when it comes to how they are constructed. As for 11-a-side association football pitches, there are only 61 of these pitches available around the whole area of Hong Kong, according to LCSD, with the surface of these pitches being either artificial grass or natural grass, which is different from how seven-a-side hardcore football pitches in Hong Kong are built by concrete. With that, statistically speaking, amongst Hong Kong's total population of around 7,100,000 people would have to share just one 11-a-side association football pitches, while a much lower number of around 30,000 people are sharing one 5-a-side or 7-a-side hardcourt football pitches. With that, this shows how Hong Kong citizens they have a much higher accessibility to unofficial 7-side hardcore football pitches when compared to official 11-side association football pitches, if they would like to have a taste of the game of football.
And the research question would be the rise of the seven-a-side football in Hong Kong. So we went to do an interview and fieldwork at Kowloon Park seven-a-side soccer pitch. We have interviewed 25 person ranging from age 13 to 50, and they all have at least 5 years of experience in seven-a-side football. After doing our interviews, we have came to a conclusion is that there is a big difference between seven-a-side football and 11-a-side football, which are such as the size of ball and number of players, and also seven-a-side is played on hard ground instead of grass. And the most of the response they say that the advantage is that it can be funner and is in a more faster pace, which makes the game more exciting. And while for the disadvantages is that this size of fields are inconsistent, and this can be a big problem when it comes to fairness in sports. Another potential disadvantage is that it might be the size 4 ball instead of the size of 5 ball. And this might be bad for people that usually play 11-a-side football because it would feel different from the normal the size 5 ball, and it can make a difference in their 7-a-side game and their 11-a-side game. And this can be a disadvantage for people that plays in both 7-a-side football and 11-a-side football. After our discussion, we have found that 7-a-side football has definitely helped with a lot of people's childhood leisure, as for some professional players, like football players, even though they are now becoming 11-a-side football players, they started playing off from a 7-a-side football field. And as we mentioned before, 7-a-side football pitches are smaller in size. Therefore, it is good for helping football players to develop their ball control skills, keen touch, and spatial concepts. And because of this easier, more simple learning environment, it can definitely get more children to hook onto this game and enjoy this game more. And also, we have found that 7-a-side football pitches are definitely more convenient than the tradition 11-a-side football, because they are more easier to reserve, and it is definitely more cheaper since it's made of hard ground instead of grass pitch. You won't have to care as much, as you don't have to water it and take care of it. And also, 7-a-side football can definitely help with Hong Kong's future, because 7-a-side football is such a simpler game. It can definitely attract more people to play it, and this can also help with the economic of Hong Kong.
We were glad to be able to have two answers from professional football players in Hong Kong, conducted from a survey, and the identity of these players are kept anonymous. So in these surveys, we found how one of these professional players, they prefer 7-a-side football rather than 11-a-side football, which is their profession. And the reason for that is because they feel like 7-a-side football would focus on their basic skill and train their match speed even more. And both of them agrees that Hong Kong should keep the tradition of 7-a-side football, as first, there's not much field for everyone to play 11-a-side football in Hong Kong, which is statistically supported in the above mentioned statistics, and also how the other respondent said that he wants to keep the tradition of 7-a-side football, which lasted for centuries in Hong Kong. In conclusion, it is definitely necessary for Hong Kong to cut down the number of 7-a-side hardcore football pitches and potentially upgrade them to either 11-a-side association football pitches or 5-a-side futsal pitches, which both of these are FIFA recognized. The potential of 7-a-side unofficial football is indeed very limited, as there isn't any official game of this type of football that's recognized by FIFA globally. Therefore, even though 7-a-side football is highly popular in Hong Kong amongst the local football culture, it will be difficult for it to develop to an international stage. On the other hand, local youth footballers would benefit a lot if they start their official training on 11-a-side or 5-a-side futsal pitches from a young age, as it increases their knowledge of the games earlier than how the past generation learned about football. The availability of more 11-a-side association football pitches or 5-a-side futsal pitches would allow Hong Kong civilians to then have more accessibility to more official types of football games. However, it's still important for Hong Kong to remain some of the popular 7-a-side hardcore football pitches, such as McPherson Playground, Southern Playground, and Victoria Park, as these pitches remain to be a huge tradition to the culture of Hong Kong football, or even the culture of Hong Kong nowadays, as well as being the base development of Hong Kong football to what it is nowadays, as Hong Kong was able to provide some of the best prospects in the past 10 years from the history of 7-a-side hardcore unofficial football.
Well, that is all for our presentation. Thank you.